Hi, loves. Welcome back to Sunday Self Love with me as Amar. This is your Sunday morning Kiki with real people and real stories discussing holistic beauty and sharing tips of how we really maintain our self love in our day to day lives. I hope you enjoy.
Sure. Hi, y'all. So, welcome to Sunday Self Love with me as Amar. This time we're doing things a little different because we are situated in Hotlanta. I mean, it's actually really hot right now. I have a conversation with Dartricia around sex and sexuality. I feel like we should just jump right into this and start from the very beginning. So can you share with us a little bit about your story, like how you came into your own and like what your understanding is around like sex and sexuality and like what the differences are?
I don't know. I've pretty much always been a sexual person. Even watching porn as like a really kind of young child.
Mm-hmm.
And then starting sex at a kind of young age. But I've always been pretty confident with myself and my sexuality. And I guess as far as sexuality goes, for me, I identify as bisexual. And I've kind of always known that I was and have, but I didn't actually start exploring that until like a year ago after reading this book called Bad Dyke. I think I was in elementary school.
Okay, me too. So,
and I came home from school or whatever, and my brother and sister couldn't wait to show me the DVD collection that they have found under my parents' couch in their bedroom. That was, of course, a selection of porn. And, of course...
Back when porn was like DVDs.
Back when porn was DVDs. And we all shared one computer.
So, of like virginity. And I've heard folks say like that's a social construct, it's not a real thing. And other folks be like, it's definitely a real thing. So, like, what is your opinion on this concept around like virginity?
Virginity and losing virginity as a social construct. Because for me, it was like, if I want to have sex, I'm going to have sex. And I'm going to do it on my own terms. And that's exactly what I did. And so when I lost my virginity, it was to a guy that I was friends with, not very interested in romantically. And it was like a simple conversation. Like, he was more experienced than I was because he was older than I was. And of course, it was my first time. And he asked me if I was interested in like losing my virginity. And I said, sure, why not?
The dude who I lost my virginity with, I ended up being in a relationship with him for 6 years, right? And that's like the quintessential like goal and hope around it.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the first time we had sex, I was like, this is some whack ass shit, and I don't even know if I really wanted to. So there's this idea that like if you're with this person for a long time, that's because you really want to do it. And I think that like that's a lie that's told to us really young. That relationship that therefore will equal this like healthy sexual experience and a healthy sexual relationship. And in hindsight, I don't feel like our relationship was very sexually healthy, to me at least. I don't feel like I had a lot of autonomy. I think I didn't figure out how to really ask for what I need until that relationship ended. Because that relationship was my baseline of how sex was for many years, you know, for the time that we were together. Do you feel like within your family dynamic, like sex was a taboo thing, or do you feel like it was like normalized to the point where it didn't feel as big of a deal in certain ways?
It was definitely normalized because both my parents are very sexual. And they do not hide it. Like, of course, like, of course, like, my mom isn't sitting there talking to me like, yeah, me and your stepdad, like, we did this, and that, and, like, I did this with that person. Like, it wasn't that, but, like, I knew they were having sex. They didn't try to hide that they were having sex. And, like, same with my dad. My dad was a little more over the top with his. Like, I can remember, like, when we would go visit him in his room, he used to have this jar filled with colored condoms. And so, for me, it was like, ooh, sex is fun. It's colorful. Like, that was, kind of my idea. I didn't go and tell my mom that I had sex after I did it. But, like, when she did find out, it was, like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, well, I hope it was good. Because, like, don't be having bad sex. And that, like, that's for like, real. Like, that was her. That was pretty much, like, and she was like, are you using condoms? Do you want birth control? And do you plan on doing it anymore? And how many partners have you had? Like, that was it. There was, like, no shaming. No, like, you shouldn't have done that. It was more of, like, she wished that I had told her and not someone else. Because my brother had told her because he's a snitch.
True. Yeah, I don't even remember, like, I don't even remember if we ever really talked about sex in my family. Like, it was a thing, but I don't know if it really came up in a prevalent way, and I feel like it was more so, like, in my late teens, early 20s that, like, it wasn't me and my mom didn't talk about sex. It was kind of like I needed birth control. And, like, so the conversation wasn't really about sex. It was about the fact that I needed her to pick me up some birth control.
That's, like, the whole abstinence only, like, sex education that we get. Like,
yeah, so I was actually impressed that, like, my, like, hella Christian mother was, like, going to the pharmacy to, like, pick up my birth control because, like, I couldn't go pick it up, and I'm like, I need it, like, now. And I was surprised that she would do it, and she did it. And that felt impressive and, like, hella progressive for me. So I feel like that's even reflective of, like, what sex in my household had looked like.
I think that is progressive because there's a lot of, like, very Christian families that will try to ignore it and not get you birth control. And then that's when you have teen pregnancy because people want to act like it's not a thing. And, like, no, they're not having sex. And they can't be having sex. And, like, birth control is, like, the devil's drug.
What is, like, healthy sexuality to you? Like, what would that look like or encompass or feel like?
I would say open dialogue, always. Like, my partner and I always talk about the sex before we have it. Like, the very first time we had sex, like, he asked me, like, he very specifically asked me, like, do you want to have sex? Is this okay? Are you okay with that? Does this feel okay? Before we got anywhere. And I think being able to ask and tell people what you like and what you want is always the best thing. Because I've had sex with people where I didn't always feel comfortable with asking them for what I wanted. But, I mean, I grew up and I learned, like, I was not going to have bad sex. Like, I do not believe in having bad sex. Like, per my mom. Like, do not have whack sex.
Like, for me, developing a healthy sexuality has really been enough space to include all the things. So, like, enough space to be like, I want lots of sex and then not be frowned upon. Enough space to be like, I don't want any sex and not be frowned upon. Enough space to, like, to really ask for what I need. And I feel like that's something I've learned probably in my mid-20s. I started to really get comfortable with being like, I like this, I don't like this, I need this, I don't want that. Because I spent, I would say, like, my teens, like my mid to late teens, definitely having some whack sex where I wasn't saying anything. Like, I don't even understand. Like, I would, like, go back to my old stuff and, like, break her up a little bit and just be like, one of my friends was saying that, like, this dude she was with, I don't know, she was with him for like 4 years. And she's like, oh, he doesn't give her a head. And I was like, you in a relationship for 4 years? And, like,
no.
And she's like, how she's never experienced it in her life. I was like, you are way too old for that. Like, I felt so bad. Like,
I would too, because I think I experienced it for the first time at, like, the age 15, and, like, I have been addicted since.
Yeah, I think I was 16 the first time, and like, I just don't even.
I don't want to imagine a life without her.
Yeah, but I like, I think it's definitely a thing that a lot of women don't feel comfortable asking for,
but men do.
But that's the funny thing is, like, men do. I was gonna say, like, particularly, I'm, like, wondering. I don't know if it's just, like, within, like, the Black community or what it is, But I feel like, it also depends on where you live, because I feel like, it's just my opinion, being from Toronto, that in Toronto it's way more taboo than it is in like all of the US of A.
Well, see, I wouldn't know because I haven't been to Toronto and I haven't had sex with anyone in Toronto. So.
But Toronto is hella taboo. Like dudes are not. Okay, so let me tell you how taboo it is. We used to get excited for American men to come down.
So that
yes, because like Toronto dudes are like, we don't do that.
Damn. See, no, like, but I also think it's like in the Black community as well, because I can remember like one of my neighbors' moms like telling me like that is white people shit.
Yeah,
like oral sex is white people shit, and then also like it's against religion. Like according, I'm not. I don't know. I have to think. People always ask me that, and I'm like, I can demonstrate it for you. Like, if you want, you can just come and have a seat in my bedroom, and I can show you. One thing, I don't eat like before sex because I don't want to gag and throw up. Because that has happened. I didn't actually like completely vomit on him, but like I had to catch myself. Definitely a thing. If I'm like really full, it is very easily it very easily comes up. So
good to know.
I definitely don't eat, especially if I know that it's about to be like a long night of like, because like, and of course you get like really lethargic after you eat too.
That's true though, because I remember one time like I had sex in a car after dinner. Times in my life, but that was so.
And you felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, by the end of it, I was like, it was a good time. But on the way home, I was like, I think I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah. So I don't eat. Or if I do, it's like before you get in the swimming pool, like I let my food digest first.
Yeah.
Before I start. Another tip. Let's see. Oh, it's like I do this thing with my tongue, like around the head, where like I kind of like circle it, but without ever like lifting or moving my tongue. It's just like a swift motion, and it's like almost like licking a lollipop, but like much more intentional.
Okay, true.
Yes.
No, I know what you mean. Okay, so then my question is, do you feel like giving head to both men and women is like the very similar technique, or do you think it's different?
I kind of use like a similar pattern, if that's the right word. Like I start off like from the bottom up, or like from the top up.
Okay.
Like
take me to school.
When I finally get down to like the base of the dick, then that's when I guess I go full force. Like that's when I'm like actually in the motion and hand motions, and I watched the Superhead video, and I have learned how to use my hands in a very productive way when it comes to sucking dick. And so that is like the same thing like I do with women. Like I start at the top, like I start really slowly with the clitoris, and then I just work my way down. And then like once I finally get to the actual vagina and inside, that's when I like am at full force.
I feel like in my experiences of that people are really threatened by any kind of freedom.
Yes.
So the more free I feel in myself, the more upset people become.
So
I'm wondering what your experience with that has been.
Okay, so I will say, prior to this relationship, I was in another relationship, and like this is when I learned biphobia. Like my partner at that time was really biphobic, and he was not for me being bisexual. Like I can remember like him finding bi porn on my phone and being extremely upset. So then I like suppressed that. In this relationship I'm in now, my boyfriend is like very free spirited, and so he's very open to me having all the experiences that I want to have. And so when I told him like very on that I identified as bisexual, but I hadn't had like many actual sexual experiences with women. And he was like, well, why not? And so we talked about it, and I talked about how, like, how people were just, like, not really okay, like, men and women, like, lesbian women, like, did not want to date me because I dated men, and same with, like, some men, like, they didn't want to date me because I wanted to date women also. And he was like, well, I think you should be able to do both or whatever. And so when I told him, like, after reading Bad Dyke, and I was like, I need to just, like, live my full experience. And I want to have queer sex. And he was like, you should definitely have queer sex. And he was like, so, like, we talked about it. And he was like, if you want to have sex with women, I think you should totally have sex with women. And, like, just tell me. Like, you don't have to tell me about every time you're doing it, how you're doing it, whatever. He's like, but when you decide that you want to do that, just let me know. So I'm in the know about it, and then we're good from there. And so, like, it took me like 6 months to, like, actually, like, work up the courage to actually do it. But then when I did it, we talked about it, and we were fine, and it's been fine ever since.
And how was it for you navigating, I guess, like, queer/LGBTQ community?
Well, I'm, like, right smack in the middle of it. First of all, we're in Atlanta. Atlanta is hella queer.
Like, your own freedom and, like, having a really healthy sexuality that, like, allows you to feel autonomous, but dealing with, like, I guess, like, stereotypes, because I feel like people have a lot of, like biphobia and just, like, stereotypes around what it means, and then particularly for you to also be in a relationship and have, like, a long-term partner. Because I remember one time, okay, I'll give you a story. I remember one time I was doing this lady's hair, and she was telling me a story about someone else in her life that's bisexual. And I was like, okay, like, it's just this, like, awkward moment. I'm, like, doing her hair, trying to, like, okay, see where this is going. And then conclusion of her story is that she felt like her friend, this is her friend she's telling me about, is just greedy.
I guess, like, the stereotype, yeah, is that, like, bisexual people want their cake and they want to be able to eat it too, and I do. And, like, I think that we, especially being in a long-term relationship, if my partner is okay with me exploring this other side of my sexuality and being as free as possible, like, why not take full advantage of that? And I also, like, self-identify as a hoe.
There's something really freeing for me about being, like, self-identifying as a whole is less about, like, someone else can't call me something that I'm already, like, I'm good with it. Like, I'm so good with it.
Exactly.
It's been more so a way of, like, taking away any shame around it. And I feel like Anna Rose does a good job of really, like, describing it, because it's not really, like, a definition of, like, this is what I do and how I am. It's more so me saying, like, I actually don't care what you think about what I do and how I am.
Exactly. I definitely feel that because, like I said, I had always been a hoe. And, like, my partner before, this partner, like, also shunned me. And, like, I was subjected, I let myself be subjected to abuse because he was like, well, you're a hoe, and, like, you should be happy that, like, I love you despite, like, your hoe-ness. And so, like, when I realized, like, there was nothing wrong with being a hoe, and, like, I should definitely embrace it, then, like, he could no longer abuse me, or, you know, and no one else can, because, like, I'm okay with how I am.
And, like, what allowed you to come to a place where you were okay with it? Like, what shifted in you internally? Like, what things happened that made it okay for you?
I don't know. Like, something in my head was just like, why shouldn't I be able to enjoy sex with whoever I want, whenever I want? Like, what is so wrong about that? And then also, like, not going to church anymore was, like, another thing. Like, then I didn't have, like, the shame.
I feel like for myself, it was more so an experience of, I'm trying to think, like, what is it? It wasn't, like, an exact moment, per se. It was more so, I feel like there was, like, an uprising and movement happening within social media itself that gave me a lot more space. So I remember in my early 20s when I started traveling. I feel like traveling really shifted that. Because, you know, when you travel, like, I'm queen of having, like, a boo wherever I go.
Yes.
So I feel like part of traveling and traveling with friends, and it's also seeing my friends want to do things, and then there's this dynamic where you don't know, like we don't know if we're gonna shame each other for the thing we're about to do on this trip, and we have to have this conversation, being like, what are we okay with each other doing? Because shit happens. And I remember having a conversation with one of my homegirls on one of our trips, being like, I just care that you are safe and that you are happy doing what you're doing. Do however you need to do. But these things haven't come up, because I remember one time a friend and I got into an argument because she brought a dude back to our hotel room and didn't tell anybody else that was going to happen. It was a bunch of us staying in the hotel room, and we were like, let us know. Like, so I remember having these conversations in my early 20s. That's when I really started figuring out that for me, myself, I didn't really care what folks were doing. And as I started to be like, I don't really care what you're doing, I'm like, but wait, I'm okay with doing what I'm doing, because there was a freedom.
Okay.
There's a freedom, I feel like, that I was offering up to other people, that I wasn't so much offering up to myself. And then I realized, because Cardi B for me is like the epitome of like hood feminism that is so important to life. And I feel like
yes,
when Cardi B said "hoes don't get cold," I was like, oh, speaking that language. I've been trying to say this for years.
I think another thing for me is, again, like my best friend. Like, she literally knows about like every sexual encounter I've ever had. And like, I've never been shamed or judged by her, and same with her. Like, it's the safe space every single time we talk.
What are some like the practical tools, I guess, that you use to navigate having a healthy sexuality and healthy like sexual lifestyle? It's like practical tools that you implement for yourself.
Practical tools. Again, like, I talk to people, like, in my like current relationship, like, we talk about what we like, and then like, and there's never any shame in what you like and what you don't like. Like, if you're into something that would be seen as like taboo or just straight up kinky, like, say it, and then we'll see if the other person is okay with doing that. And then if you are, then we try it. And like, we might watch a video first and then we try it. But like my boyfriend and I, we frequent the sex store together. Like, it's always like a joint thing. Like, we do it together, we pick out our toy together, and then we use it together. And I think that is really healthy, because a lot of people are in relationships like where their male, like their cis male partner, is not okay with them having a sex toy. And I'm like, seriously? My boyfriend bought this for me. Like, he picked this out for me. Like, he wanted me to enjoy this. So like, why is that a problem? Like, they feel threatened by it. And he doesn't. Like, he doesn't feel threatened by anything that I do sexually. Like, if I want to, I guess, like, dominate him, like, he's not threatened. If I want to have sex with like another person, a woman, he's not threatened by me having sex with that woman. Like, and that is really healthy, that like, he is okay with himself and he is sure of himself. And so like, we don't have that problem.
Yeah, I feel like what has been like tools for me is constantly shifting and changing. I have like basic rules for myself of like, and I feel like it's probably for someone who goes out saying, but obviously like everyone's into different things, and I'm into a lot of things and know a lot of people who are into a lot of things. So I've come up with like basic things I just know are not my thing over time. So I know I'm not into like blood. I'm not into like urine, pee type play type stuff.
I'm with you on that.
I'm not into needle play. So like, those are like I have like my basic rules, and I actually had like this conversation with people right before like I had sex with them. I'm like, these are my basic rules. Like, I'm not into these things. Some people are, and that's totally okay. But like, they're not my thing.
Yeah.
I am really into like barriers. Like, I'm really, 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 really into. And I wasn't always in my early 20s, and I feel like it's been kind of like my own. I wasn't into barriers prior because I don't felt. Like, I feel to this day, like, there's a lot of, like, shame. Like, people actually, like, say shit to me, like, so barriers as in, like, dental dams, condoms, gloves, you know, barriers of sorts. But whenever I want to have, like, safe sex, people always make fun of me. Like, to this day, I'm just like, I really, really want to do this thing. So it's become one of the things for me. I'm like, it makes me feel better. It gives me peace of mind, and I feel like I'm a lot more sexually free and, like, explorative when I feel like
you're being safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's one of my things. And recently, I really need to feel like the people that I have sex with care about me. And I feel like that's, again, like, part of this whole concept of, like, hood feminism and this, like, and what I'm coming to as my own, like, concept of, like, hood feminism. As I've started to really figure out what feminism is for myself and, like, what it means to understand feminism from a very, like, hood perspective and lens and just, like, everyday life. I feel like there's this push with, like, having folks like Cardi B and, like, Amber Rose having more open conversations around, like, what it means to be a hoe, which is great, so great and so important. But I'm realizing for myself as I start to really self-define that a lot of my definitions in the beginning were about, like, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, however I want to do it, which is beautiful. But in that definition, I'm now including, like, I actually need to feel loved and cared for in everything that I do. I feel like that's a new kind of, like, baseline fundamental in some ways, because, like,
that, and, like, I've liked people that I've had sex with. Like, I've liked, I mean, a good amount of them. Like, I have to like you in some kind of way to want to have sex with you. Like, I'm not,
like, how do you even like build up, like what happened before? I guess, like, you don't know the person. Like, how do you meet this person, and how do you get to this point of being able to, like, have sex casually? I'm so curious, actually.
So,
this
like,
is, like, me personally.
usually,
like, how?
usually it's, like, been a friendship,
Okay.
like, of some sort. Like, I can think of maybe 2 people right now that, like, it was, like, literally, like, a text, and then that was it. Like, all I had to text was, like, it would be, like, something simple, like, you want it, or, like, can I have it, or, like, something like that, and then the person would, like, just respond yes, or, like, they would do me, like, they would text me, like, hey, like, what's up, like, you want it tonight? And I'm like, yeah, I'm on my way.
But how do you get that?
But, like, how do I get there?
Yeah.
I don't,
like, how do you get from just being like, I don't know this person to, like, we can casually have sex?
we talked about, like, what we wanted. Like, do you like me enough to, like, want to have a relationship with me, or do you like me enough to, like, actually want to sit and, like, we have, like, conversations? So, like, I've, like, had, like, one guy, like, we literally, like, we had this very funny routine. Like, he would text me, I would, like, agree, I would come over, we would sit, we would talk for, like, 2 fucking hours. We would go to Waffle House, eat, go back home, talk for, like, another 30 minutes or so, and then we would have sex.
Oh, you mentioned to me in passing, so I'm, like, curious what this looks like. I know you're working on a book that specifically talks about, like, your sexual experiences, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us more about that.
Okay, so, again, like, I told my best friend every single sexual experience I have. And so she and I were talking, and, like, we were just laughing about, like, this guy who just had, like, this really small penis that, like, really thought he was just doing the fucking most with this really tiny penis. And so then I was like, okay, like, maybe I can get around, like, the small dick if he's good head, and, like, the head was whacking. So I was like, and so we were laughing, and, like, she thought it was fucking hysterical. Like, the way that I was telling the story to her, like, she's like, this shit is just funny. Like, you should just, like, write this down and, like, tell other people just how fucking funny this shit was. And so I was like, maybe you're right, because I write, and I like to write. And she's like, so, like, why don't you just, like, write it and make it a book? And then, like, all of us can laugh at this really small dick. Like, or, like, all of us can laugh at, like, different things that have happened. So, like, the book is pretty much like I guess like some of like my first experiences or like some of my funniest experiences. And so like what really set it off when I really was like, okay, I'm gonna make this a book, when I was talking to like I think it was my god sister and some of her friends, and we were really drunk after Afro Funk. And I was talking about the first time I asked my boyfriend to come on my face. And I was like, I'm gonna, like, before I even, like, got into the story, I was like, I'm going to write this, and it's gonna be entitled My First Cum Shot. So that. And so, like, the story is, like, we were basically really drunk, and, like, asked him to come on my face. It was taking him too long to do it, and so I opened my eyes because I got impatient, and then, like, he did, and splat into my eye, and I was like a fucking fish out of water, like flopping around, and like my eye was burning, and like the little sperms were like swimming towards my fucking pupil because they thought it was a goddamn egg. Yes, and like my eye was bloodshot, and then like the next day, like this at this time I lived with we had roommates, his friends, three men and one woman, besides him and I. And the very next day, one of the guys, his brother came over. His brother lived down the street. And, like, he looked at me because my eye was bloodshot. He was like, did the blood come in your eye? Like, that was his first words to me. It was, like, early in the morning, too. It was, like, 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what the fuck he was doing in our house.
I wonder how he knew.
But, and then he was like, yeah, that happened to Sarah once. True. And so, yeah, that was that story. And so I was like, that shit is funny. And like other people might find it funny. And so like, let's do that. And then so I was like at another party and I was talking about it. And someone was like, you should make it a graphic novel. And I was like, fuck yeah, shit, but I don't know how to draw at all. And my boyfriend, he does, but he refuses to. So now I'm looking for someone to draw the actual stories for me.
Okay, that I guess is a great prelude to where I was gonna go with this. So for folks who want to really stay up to date with you and like what you're doing and are interested, so like for this anticipated release of this book that's obviously gonna be popping, where can they find you?
My Facebook is really animated. Should be popping most of the time. Sometimes I just say like some really outrageous shit. You might not be into that. But you can find me on Facebook, Dartricia, Dartricia Walker, and I'm there all day, every day. I got plenty of funny stories for you, or you can wait and see when my book will be released.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for having this conversation.
Thank you.
I feel like it really put a lot of things for me to think about that I really appreciate. And I'm just excited for like the overall conversation I'm seeing happen more so on the interwebs. And like particularly Black women being able to have more like a perfect, freeing conversation around sex and sexuality. And hopefully, the more we talk about it, the more we'll all get comfortable with it. We'll start to all go to ask what we need, and everyone can have great sex and all the orgasms that are necessary.
Yes,
like,
please. Like I'm just like so against women having bad sex. Like my New Year's resolution was like for all women to have great sex. Like I swear to you, like that's all I want. Because I have really great sex always. As of like 5 years, I've been having nothing but really great sex.